And welcome back, guys. This is McRib, and we are beginning our journey through the Elder Scrolls Online. My primary character for this uh, series will be a Wood Elf Nightblade on the Eldari Dominion. I like that environment the best. It's the most tropical and all that, so it'll be fun to go and stealth through all those paradise-like Far Cry environment type of things, so that'll be fun. I've already gone through the creation of the character as far as like what he's gonna look like and all that. This is him in his final gear, or what the end game gear will look like. That's what he'll probably look like when he's early on, and that's him halfway naked. So he's definitely stealth orientated, little eyeshadow and all that kind of stuff. But that will look really, really good. What I like about this type of set would be that it looks really, really stealthy and fits the character well, whereas like the Warcraft stuff always had gigantic shoulders and was over the top. Well, I like that too. This is a little more down to earth, a little more Elder Scrollsy. So that's going to be really cool. So I plan on taking him all the way through level 50, veteran rank 10, and as well that this will probably be one of my main PvP characters along with my Dragon Knight. Mainly because of the stealth factor. So my plan for him is to be dual wielding, and then when he hits 15 and opens up his secondary slot is to go with a bow and be able to do ranged combat as either a defensive tactic to get out of there, to like leapfrog back and kind of cover myself as I run, or to open up when stealth is not an option, when there's bunch of people around, to just be able to sit back and do damage. And that will help in dungeons as well later on. For example, if there's a boss that we're fighting and he's constantly AoEing and it's hurting me, tying up healers and stuff, when I could just stand back and shoot him with bow and arrow. But most likely, especially in PvP later on, there'll be a combination of those two things. It'll just be a real good synergy, and that'll be a fun thing to learn and a fun thing to show off when you really come out and, for example, you assassinate, there's like 3 guys and you assassinate one of them by stealthing up, and then you're fighting the other guys and you pop like a stealth tactic that kind of like Vanish in Warcraft, and you get to build some distance because they're not sure which way you ran, and as soon as that thing wears off after like 3 seconds, you start popping bow shots into another guy, taking him out, and then you're literally left with a one-on-one. And then if you can re-stealth, now you're in a real good position, so you can essentially take out 3 guys per se. I'm just throwing out scenarios here, but it looks like that's going to be a fun class, especially later on in PvP. I hear a lot of people like to hang out and stealth together, plus it'll set us up. I've got a few people they're going to be playing with me who are going to be ambushing or setting up ambushes later on at towers that we know will be attacked within a few minutes, and you will definitely get some footage of that. It'll be really cool. My plan for this video is to take you through the opening scene, all the way to where you are going to be on this island, so on and so on. Spoiler alert for those who don't want any spoilers at all, even though this is an MMO, most people shouldn't worry about it too much. I'm throwing it out there. I'll put it in the description below as well. But we are going to take off, and hopefully this name is good to go. If not, we'll mess with it. But let's go ahead and start the show. I don't want to skip it. I want to do... That name is already in use? Wow, that's pretty bad. So we're going to do that. Name it after my channel. That better not have been... There we go. Not taken. Or else. And I'll shut up during cutscenes. Alright, so here we go. This is the actual starting room that you start out in. And in typical fashion of the Elder Scrolls series, you are either being arrested or you are already in jail. So this holds true to the lore of the series and how you start the games. Someone has appeared in my cell. It's a crazy looking expensive crystal they got in here, but they were nice enough to lend us some heat while we're in there. But it looks like it wasn't enough for all those guys. There's a lot of bone remains in here. Alright, so let's see what he has to say.
Slowly now. You've been through an ordeal. Take a few moments to collect yourself. Like you, I am a prisoner in this place. Yet so much more. I am the past and the future, both I am despair and hope. The tapestry we weave is a complex one. You cannot hope to see its pattern in its entirety. Not yet. You must rescue me, and I, in turn, must rescue you. You must escape from this cell, take up arms, and protect yourself. Then find Lyris Titanborn.
So he's not gonna answer that last question, huh?
You there! We are escaping. Let me open your door.
Oh, isn't that convenient?
That's it. Quickly! You must escape before the guards return. Everyone, quickly!
Quickly, follow Urgesine.
This place is pretty huge. Not very efficient, as in they got these gigantic cells per person, unless they plan on stuffing tons of people in there. That looks pretty cool right there. Looks like they forgot about you, bro, or that was intended. The Iron Maiden. Alright, what do we got up here? Nice and organized skulls. Pick some of that stuff up. Sure. As you can see, even just right here, the graphics are pretty decent. You'll see even better examples of that a little bit later on. The shading and the lighting is done very well, and the textures are actually fairly high res. Obviously, it could be better. Before an MMO, this is top of the range in my opinion, and the shadows look good. In Rift, man, that would hit the video card so hard to even draw any kind of shadowing. Poorly optimized, but this game does it very well. So yeah, 2560 by 1440. This very sharp, looks very clean. Digging it.
Grab something to defend yourself. Don't be greedy. We have a lot of prisoners to arm.
Okay, don't be greedy. Guess can't pick up anything there. So this is a bit more limited than it was in the beta. I think the difference now is you can have two-handed mace. You can have a staff in the form of an ice staff. And a sword and shield. And it's been the same on all my characters that I've started, so that is pretty much the way it is. Okay, we're gonna turn off the help stuff a little bit later on. So you can either right click and equip something. If you needed to go into a special spot, you can just drag it. See, there you go. The UI is just so simple in this game, and I love it. There's not a bunch of crap all over your screen and tiny text that you can't read on these high-res displays. So I'm very, very happy with that. I do have to take the shield right now, but as soon as I get a chance, that should be coming up pretty soon here, I will be switching to a dagger in the offhand, or another sword, or any kind of one-handed weapon, as I will be focusing on the dual wielding aspect in this game with this character. That's the plan anyway.
An enemy approaches. Strike it down.
So as you can see right there, he was stunned because as they pull back, see, that was like a regular attack. That doesn't stun him. And I can hit him, but if I wait and block the big wind-up attacks, it staggers him a little bit. So that's a good practice, so all the sparks flying around him as he pulls his weapon back. And there'll be other forms of that later on. Those are the attacks you really want to block more than anything, because that's going to give you a sweet opening for you to counter safely. So, pretty cool. And right now I'm just picking up a bunch of stuff just so I can sell it and make some money as soon as I get out of here. You're pretty much walking around with nothing but the clothes on your back and the weapons they provided you with, so everything else you're going to be picking up. Kind of see outside a little bit here. Not really, but not the most secure place as you can imagine, but
Another blocks the path ahead. Dispatch it quickly.
So I still took a little bit of damage during that. So most of the time when you see that, you just want to avoid it. Like that, and then if only I can make contact. Like that.
Whoa there. Are you all right? Good fighting.
Looks like I leveled up already. Isn't that sweet?
You got more meat on your bones than most of these poor bastards, and I see you've armed yourself. Good. I hope you've still got some fight left in you. You're going to need it.
Who are you?
A fellow prisoner. The name's Lyris. What? Who told you to find me? The Prophet. He spoke to you? What did he say? Ha. That sounds like the Prophet, all right. He's a prisoner here, too. It was very dangerous for him to speak to you, even for a moment. You must think you can help me. Break him out, of course. Believe me, I can use all the help I can get. That blind old man is the only person alive who can help us get back home. Tamriel's a long way from here.
Yeah, we'll tag along. So she's following me now, which is cool. So before we move on, and I think this is just scripted. It's not actually people starting characters, it's just scripted. Sometimes it can be people though. Like you'll see other people in this spot already, bouncing in and out of your instances at the beginning here. But let's go ahead and give you some overlook. So this is your class, your skill, and your class trees, your abilities, and all that kind of stuff. The way this game works, you level up things as you use them. So for example, if I spec into Assassin's Blade in the assassination tree, the more I use this, the more this skill will evolve and level up and allow me to make changes and make it stronger. And that goes for almost everything else. There's also passive abilities, which in this game rely on the types of armor you're wearing, which I will be discussing in detail in a future episode once that becomes more relevant. But there's each class kind of has 3 main trees, and to see what you want to do, you just go and you hover over these things and you see what caters to how you want to play your character. And you can mix and match. There's no rules or regulations on this. You can essentially do whatever you want. But as we are going for a rogue type of character, we are going to be starting in the assassination tree and trickling into the shadow tree as well. Now there's more to this than just that. You can also spec into different weapons, such as the dual wielding. So this gives you even more abilities, meaning you can do this as a class that is not built on assassination. You can dual wield a fury warrior, or whatever you want to call it. Even a mage could dual wield if you want to and have 2 swords with magical abilities. So it's really cool. It's completely open in how you want to do it. Then you have these armor things, which these passive abilities here depends on, like I said, what kind of armor you're wearing. Which I will discuss that in a future episode. And you can mix and match, and that actually ends up being the best way to level, maybe even end game. But we'll kind of see how the game goes. I haven't even gotten that far yet. But yeah, you can pretty much pick what kind of armor you're wearing. Then you have your racial. That's my wood elf. So these skills are specific to him, and he's obviously going to be good with a bow and arrow. So I will be speccing into that later on with these passive abilities, and I'll be upgrading some of this as well. And then you can upgrade your crafting stuff to make it more effective. For example, provisioning. You can make more than one serving at a time, or you can make the food last longer as the food is essentially like a buff. You eat it and like your health will go up for 30 minutes. You can take that to 45 minutes or so on. Those are just examples. There will be more added to this as the game goes on. There'll be a world skill in here that comes later on and so on, but we'll look into that as it happens. But right now, we're going to spend that 1 point that we have and get our Assassin's Blade. And that will be bound to the number 1 keyness. You can see this is how it works. R is going to be your ultimate, and we'll discuss that in a later episode. Once I get these things, it's better for me to explain it then, because then I can show you, and it makes more sense. And then you have numbers 1 through 5, just like your standard MMO. Can't really have too much more than that, but that's good. I like the way this game kind of narrows things down, just a little bit. Some say, oh, it's, you know, simplified for console people, and while I do agree that is probably what happened, this is how Elder Scrolls games are built. You don't run around with a million skills at one time. And this kind of keeps things nice and neat, rather than overly complicated. So this is kind of like that, bridging the gap between the two games, and I really like that. So that's now our number 1 skill, and as you can see here, as the target is low on health, it's going to do 3 times the damage. So this can be a good opener, and then you use it again as the target gets low to do that damage, and then later on in the game when you're fighting bosses and they're low on health for a minute or two, then you really get to bring on the damage, kind of like how Execute was for the Warriors back in World of Warcraft. And you'll hear me relate to that game a lot as I explain how things work, because that's the game that most people know what I'm talking about. That's the game that more than almost anybody else I know, more than anybody, if you played an MMO one in your life, it was probably World of Warcraft, and therefore that's where I'll be talking about what the skills relate to. So you'll hear me call this character a rogue all the time, but that's just the way it is. It's burned into my brain, and nothing's going to change that. Okay, so we got our skill, and now we're going to look at our character, and because every time we level up we get an attribute point, you can pick out of these 3 topics what you want to spec as. Now some people would go heavy into one. It really depends on what you play, but you really need to look at your skills, because some rogue skills are going to use Magicka to execute them. So it's not all going to be an all stamina build for me. Some of these things will be relying on both. So I'm going to be putting skills into Magicka first, and once I get to about level 6 or 7, I will be trickling skills into stamina as well. Stamina will be more catered towards my ranged attacks, and I will be expecting to use them less. They will be what I fall back on during PvP later in the game. But I would like to really focus on stealth, and that's going to come out of the Magicka tree. From what I understand, I could be wrong. I'm just doing this as I go. So we'll see, and then you commit the points with your E key on your keyboard once you've placed them in here. Now there are diminishing returns. Once you get to a certain point where you're spending like too many points per level, like if you're saving them up, which is typical fashion of games like this, and putting them into a certain category, such as you're all putting everything to Magicka, at some point that number will turn orange and it will show you diminishing returns. And at that point you can still put them in there, it's just you'll get less for each one you put in. So at that point it's good to break off and beef some other things up. Later on I'll probably have to put some into health as well, just to keep myself from dying, but I don't plan on taking too much damage. Essentially, if I get to the point where I'm tanking somebody, I'm probably gonna die. If I'm getting to the point in PvP where I'm exposed and it's a straight up fight, it's not going to be looking too good for me. I'd rather do maximum damage and come out hard and swinging, rather than turn this into like a fair fight and just outlast the other person. So we're going to go ahead and commit, and we're going to move on. Alright, cool. So she's following me now, so let's roll. Shift to sprint, so you can see how you play the game third person or first person, and I'll be going back and forth, even though I don't like the FOV in this game too much. I wish it was a little more wide on this, but yeah, it is very like it feels fun to walk versus some MMOs that have one constant speed. So this is pretty cool.
We made it. Come, the sentinels are at the top of those towers. We need to find a way up. Magical constructs created by Molag Bal to guide his vision in Cold Harbor. The sentinels are connected. If we destroy one, the others will be blinded. With any luck, that will buy us the time we need to free the Prophet. I've no idea. Brute force? We'll find a way. We have to. Be ready for anything. I doubt Molag Bal left the sentinels unguarded.
Yeah, I would think not. You can see the fire in the back, how good it looks in this game. Very well done. Love the fire in this game. It actually looks like fire, and not this repetitive flickering texture that they use many times. Alright, so this is, I guess, part of the prison where people hang out, as they don't plan on leaving. So you're not always confined to a cell. I guess this is the lower security area. Alright. So let's find our way. Sentinels. We'll go to this one. there'll be some combat along here too. Let me check my inventory real quick. Sometimes you already have an extra weapon. I do not. And then you can crouch to go into a semi-stealth mode. And at this point, from what I understand, you will not be seen unless you do it in front of their face, and then they'll kind of track you. But right now we're looking for speed. There's one of the sentinel eyes. Chest is already empty, nothing else to pick up. Alright, let's do it. Excellent.
Quickly, while the Prophet's enclosure isn't far. Let's go.
Let's roll. I've done this already, so I'm not gonna shilly-shally
Hurry.
around too much. We'll be going straight to the meat. So there's one we're gonna go ahead and attack and use our assassination's blade so you can kind of see. It's a zombie. Stab him right in his rib cage. He's down for the count. Let's get the hell out of here.
The door's warded. We'll never get in this way. Damn it.
She's tall.
Destroying the Sentinel must have triggered these wards. We'll need to find another way in. Cadwell is the oldest of the Soul Shriven. After years of torment, Soul Shriven usually go insane and turn feral. But not Cadwell. He was already insane before he left Tamriel. Mad as a box of frogs, but completely harmless. You'll see. Cadwell sees things as he wishes them to be. To him, Cold Harbor is a wondrous place. It's his home. And he knows it like the back of his hand. He's usually down by the river. Let's go find him.
Good idea. We gotta get the hell out of here. Alright, let's do it.
One fine day in the middle of the night, two dead kings got up to fight. Back to back, they faced each other through... Hello, what's this? Out for a stroll then? Lovely day for it.
Nice
Sir
hat.
Cadwell, yes, indeed, a pleasure. And fair Lyris, good to see you, my dear. How are you then? Oh dear, well that is inconvenient, isn't it? Tell you what, I happen to know another way in. Much more of a scenic route. Rather a fun little jaunt, actually, full of traps and corpses and nasty beasties filling up the bits in between. Rather cautiously, I expect. Watch your step, hold your nose, and do mind the traps. There'll like as not be a fair dose of running and skull bashing as well. Follow the river. You'll find the door to the Undercroft at the water's end. Once you're inside, stick to the light, and you'll find a ladder that will take you right up to the Prophet straight away. Do give him my best. Best of luck. Do check in now and again, won't you?
Sure. I'm not going to go through the extra dialogue here, as it will tie up a lot of time to really fully immerse yourself. And I will be doing a lot of the story for you here, but go ahead and get the game and just go through it at your own pace, you know. Alright, so he said follow the river. That's what we're gonna do. Keep an eye out for treasure. Not gonna be looting too many provisioning stuff and all that junk, but chests I will go ahead and pick up. Speaking of chests, yep, I'll always take another lockpick. You want to just have as many of those as you can get. They will break on you. Yep, take that. Good job. Alright, so let's check the map and see where we need to go. That's our destination down there. So we will go through and try to get there. That's a real person right there, just so you know. You kind of see how people move. There'll be tons of them later on. Alright, good deal. So let's see here. We are supposed to go, yep, this way. Alright, now I'm just picking up a bunch of stuff. And yeah, you could. There's so many things to loot. It's actually overwhelming.
The Prophet's cage should be just ahead. Quickly now, we haven't much time.
I won't put you through that. So all these things you can loot. See? You can have fun with that. You can spend 20 minutes in here looting.
Alright. The good news is we made it here in one piece, and the Prophet looks unharmed. Now the bad news. It's going to be up to you to keep him safe and get him back to Tamriel. I'm not going with you.
What do you mean you're not going with me?
I probably should have mentioned this before, but it never seemed like the right time. There's a trick to opening the cell. The only way for a prisoner to leave is for another living soul to take their place. I need to swap places with the Prophet. Believe me, I wish there was, but I don't see anyone else here with a beating heart, do you? If Molag Bal isn't stopped, he'll destroy everyone and everything we've ever loved. The Prophet chose you for a reason. Get him to safety. I'll be fine.
Find my ass. The ultimate sacrifice.
There are magical locking devices on either side of the cage. You need to deactivate both of them so I can begin the transfer. Once it's done, get moving. The Prophet will know where to go, but he'll need your eyes and your protection.
Fair enough. Yeah, this area looks so cool. The graphics, you can really see they took their time and did an excellent job. You really feel like you're in a dungeon. It's not like cookie cutter crap. Very cool looking foggy area here.
I give myself that the Prophet might be free!
Look how tall she is compared to me. She's no work. So there's the Prophet, and she's inside. See that? Traded places. What?
Thank the divines you are safe. There is that at least. There has sacrificed everything that we might go free. Her sacrifice must not be in vain. I wish that were possible, but I promise you, once we escape Cold Harbor, we will find a way to rescue her together, Vestige.
Yeah, better not forget.
That is the name I have given you. You are but a trace of your former self, a soulless one, an empty vessel that longs to be filled. It is as the scrolls foretold, but not exactly as I imagined. That is what I've come to be called. My true name is lost even to me. Years of torment have taken their toll. Quickly now, we must make haste to the anchor. The anchors are Daedric machines of the darkest magic. Their chains bind our world and pull it towards Cold Harbor. I can use one of these anchors to return us to Tamriel, but you must lead me to it.
Alright, cool. So that's how we're getting out of here. Alright, so we need to go... I think it's this way? Yeah. Shows you on the compass up there. Rough indicator of where you need to be going. That looks cool. Alright, and we're going to cut it here and save the rest for the next episode. So stay tuned, keep watching. Like I said, I'll carry you through as much of this as I can. This will be very coherent until I start breaking off doing quests and so on, but I've got a pretty good idea on how to pull off this content. But hope you enjoy, and I'll see you around next time. Take care.